So it's not a worst-case scenario for the Lakers by any means, but it's not good either. LeBron James will now officially miss tonight's game against the Nuggets with a sore right ankle. He aggravated it in the fourth quarter of last night's loss to the Raptors. Left did not return. That was just his second game back after missing more than a month. LeBron missed 20 games with the Lakers with a high ankle sprain. Also, Dennis Schroeder will be out for the next 10 to 14 days. And I got to tell you, the upcoming schedule for the Lakers, it is not kind. Let's welcome NBA writer and insider Bill Reiter to talk about all things Lakers. A little questionable right now for the team, some concerns. Let's start with LeBron and this injury. I mean, Bill, just 2 games back, and already he's having to take some time off to rest again. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Amanda, it's not dire, but Lakers officials around the Staples Center, and you saw LeBron James after that game the other night, are certainly feeling a little frustrated and a little concerned, maybe deeply concerned about a couple things. How they navigate the remainder of this season, you just referenced that, including a pretty tough 5-game stretch. And most importantly, as LeBron said after that loss, if I'm not healthy, nothing else matters. Rarely does LeBron speak that candidly about his absolute impact on a team. It just showcases he's not sure and the Lakers aren't sure how he's going to hold up physically over the next 7 games and over the course of a postseason.
Well, LeBron's speaking very candidly right now on a number of things, including the play-in tournament, because where the Lakers stand right now, they are right on that threshold. Here's what he had to say yesterday about the tournament.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day if I'm not, 100% close to 100%. It don't matter, where we land, So, that's my mindset. And, if this happens to, we end up at 6th or 5th or whatever the case may be, or if we end up in the, the playoff, whatever that thing is, whoever came up with that need to be fired. But whatever.
Okay, so not very happy there. So just really quickly, here's how the tournament works. The Lakers are 7th in the West right now. There will be a play-in tournament where the 7s and 8 face off. The 9s and 10s will also play. The winner of the 7 and 8 will move on to the first round. The loser will play the winner of the 9-10 game to figure out who moves on from there. All right, so LeBron says he does not like that tournament, blaming whoever came up with it. He had a little bit of a different tune last March on the Road Trip and podcast. Here's what he had to say then.
There could be a best out of a 3-team play-in. There could be, listen, there's 5 games left in the regular season. Let those 4 teams play each other, and then whoever got the best record out of that, maybe the final 2 teams had the best record play each other for a game off to make the 8th seed.
All right, Bill, I love that you're laughing. This reminds me of like when I was younger and I would make plans with my friends and I was so hyped up and then I found out I could have got, I'm like, well, that is dumb. I don't know what they're doing, but that is stupid. What do you make of LeBron's comments about this play-in tournament?
Yeah, I make, even for LeBron James, watch out, life comes at you fast, right? Life was real good a year ago. It's a little different this season. I mean, I get his frustration, and he is concerned, and the Lakers are concerned about what a play-in game would mean. You don't want to face, for example, Damian Lillard with your season on the line and the concern that Dame will go off and dominate a game and maybe LeBron won't. The reality is it's really good for the NBA, and everybody knows it. Gerald Moore clapped back at LeBron, pointing out almost every team is relevant. Amanda, there's only 5 teams that are statistically eliminated from the postseason. It almost feels like soccer, like Premier League soccer. You're playing for the top, you're playing for the bottom, you're playing to try and get into the 9-10, to not be in the 7-8. It's meaningful basketball before the postseason begins. Yeah, it's not good for the Lakers, but with all respect to LeBron James and his very real frustrations with the injuries and the way the Lakers have been playing, it might be bad news for LA. It's pretty good news for the rest of the association.
So Anthony Davis is back, and we're going to talk about him more extensively here in a second. But with LeBron, now Dennis Schroeder, how concerned are you for the health of the Lakers as a whole over the next couple of weeks?
I'm extraordinarily concerned. I can tell you, talking to sources, so are the Lakers. And you just said it. I mean, Anthony Davis has been awful in his 6 games back, and there's some concerns about frail's a little strong, but whether he has the durability for a postseason, to say nothing of the level of excellence they need. We know LeBron's going to miss the game tonight. We don't know what it's going to mean going forward. And Schroeder with these health and safety protocols, that's 10 to 14 games. That's basically the most important stretch now of the Lakers season. And Amanda, it really reflects what GMs have been screaming, at least anonymously, for the last 3 or 4 months that this entire NBA season will be defined not by this star or that star, or even necessarily this super team or that super team, which is really the Lakers or the Nets, but by injuries and by the reality that a condensed regular season and a very condensed offseason that we came off of. Remember, the finals were not that long ago. We're going to result in the kind of injuries you've never seen before, and they hope you won't see again. So it's unfortunate. It's probably not fair for Lakers fans, but this is what a lot of people expected around the NBA, that a lot of big names, and I mean a lot, just we've seen this across the board, team after team, there were going to be injuries, and it was going to alter, at least this season, who was going to be a contender and who might not be.
Anthony Davis just came back, and you mentioned his play. I mean, he was gone since Valentine's Day. We've seen flashes of the old Anthony Davis, but other than that, I mean, you said it was terrible or not good, something along those lines. Are you surprised by what we're seeing from him right now?
I mean, not entirely, and it has been pretty bad. I think it's 16.5 points per game over the 6. He's shooting 17% on three-point shots, below 40% overall from the field. And if you just watch the games, right, I mean, this is a guy who is a defensive player of the year level player, and he just doesn't look, he's not even at 60 or 70%. I'm not overly shocked. This is not a very deep team. LeBron James not being around puts a huge burden on the guy. It's hard to get, your win back and get to conditioning when you've missed time. And I think it's worth noting that maybe LeBron James and the Golden State Warriors during their run, Amanda, were used to playing an 82-game season and then months of playoffs again and again and again. But last year was the first deep run that Anthony Davis ever made, right? Obviously NBA champion. When he was in New Orleans, they rarely made the playoffs and rarely advanced out of that first round. This is a different wear and tear on his body, combined with the very limited offseason and the injury this year. I think it makes sense. It's going to take a while for AD to get back to full health. And I think there's a giant question mark. I know there is for the Lakers over the minutes restrictions and how you manage him so that he is healthy over the next few months.
And heading into the bubble, they had all of that time to rest as well. Okay, so AD moving a little slow. LeBron out for tonight, still dealing with the ankle problem. Dennis Schroeder is out. We talked about the health of the Lakers. Looking at their upcoming schedule, I said going into this, it is not kind at all. They are facing all playoff teams. This is their next 4, but I'm going to tack on a 5th one to that. So they go the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Trailblazers, the Suns. The 5th game's the Knicks. That's not going to be fun either. How do you see this playing out for the Lakers?
I do not see it playing out well. I was talking to a Western Conference official a few hours ago and ran this exact schedule by them and said, am I crazy to think they could go 0-5? And the response was, you're not crazy. Maybe they go 1-4. Maybe they play really well. They're still a pretty good defensive team. Although you miss all 3 of those guys, it's harder to do anything well on the floor. Maybe they go 2-3. But Amanda, you said it. I mean, the Knicks are probably, maybe the Trailblazers, like the easiest game on that schedule. And that's not an easy game. Portland is basically tied with the Lakers. There's a tiebreaker there, but they're basically tied for that playing slot. They're going to play like their season depends on it. The Knicks are defensively ferocious and having tons of momentum. The Suns are atop the Western Conference for a reason. The Clippers hate the Lakers, and the reverse is true as well. And the Clippers are trying to get back to that 3 spot and hang on to that 2-3 spot. I mean, Denver's coming up. They've won 9 of the last 10. All of these teams are going to feel a real sense of urgency, and they're going to want to embarrass the Lakers, whether or not AD is playing well or LeBron's out there or Dennis Schroeder. I mean, we're talking about Dennis Schroeder as a significant player on a championship team. Things are dire, especially over that stretch. They could lose all those games.
You're giving Lakers fans heart palpitations right now. Bill Reiter, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about the Lakers, everything that's going on with them, or I should say everything that's not going on with them, because it's not a lot right now. It's not looking good. Their very first game, that 5 stretch, that's not going to be easy. They face off against the Nuggets tonight. Again, LeBron officially out. The Nuggets are a 3.5-point favorite as of now.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.